Hey guys, coming as me another movie for guys. Now, this movie we're reviewing, I've wanted to see this movie for a while, especially because this really has not been a very good year for comedies at all. They just have not been that funny. We've had some gems like, say, Spy, Trainwreck, The Duff, Pitch Perfect 2, things like that come to mind. But in terms of comedies, we just really haven't had a lot of really good ones. American Ultra, the movie I'm going to be reviewing, um, seemed like it was going to be one of those comedies that actually was very funny and did work very well. And I wanted to check it out. I was gonna wait, but they finally put it into LQ DVD on Solar Movie, and I didn't really want to watch it in cam quality. And finally, I can review American Ultra for you guys. And after watching American Ultra, I have to say that American Ultra is very different than what I thought it was going to be, but I still did really enjoy it, and it still was a very fun movie. But I have to say, it was a lot more serious and is a lot more of an action movie than it is a comedy, and I'm going to get into that. But let's get to the plot of American Ultra, which the plot right off the bat I think was really great, and I didn't really know too much about it going into except that it was like a action comedy. There was also a stoner movie. I'm gonna get into that, but let's get to the plot. Basically, we focus on this guy, Mike Howell, who he's this stoner. He lives in this quiet town with his girlfriend, Phoebe, who he plans on proposing to. He's constantly having these panic attacks and all these headaches, and he doesn't really know what they mean. And even when he tries to propose to Phoebe, he can't. It does. It he just keeps getting these panic attacks. It doesn't work, and it just doesn't seem to be working for him. And he can't leave this town for whatever reason. We don't know why. Well, basically, one day while he works in this grocery store, this woman, Victoria Lassiter, comes up to him, and, she basically seems to know more about him, and eventually, we see, eventually he learns that the CIA is after him, and eventually Mike learns that there is a lot more going on in his life than he thought, and that a lot of the people he thought he could trust, he actually can't, and finds himself caught up in a situation that he knew nothing about, and that's really all I'm going to say, because there are actually some pretty big spoilers in this movie that I don't want to spoil, but I am going to get right into it and basically tell you guys that, like I said, I had a really great time with this movie. There are some problems with this movie here and there, but let me just get into it. Right off the bat, thing I was looking forward to the most was the acting. I was really hoping that this movie would be very great, and I really didn't think it'd be bad, and I have to say the acting overall was really, really great, especially from our three main leads here. Jesse Eisenberg, I thought, was perfectly cast as Mike. He was very good in this role. What I really liked about his character is that while he is this stoner, you really do care for this guy. I mean, he has a girlfriend that he really cares about, and she means the world to him, and he doesn't understand why what's going on with him is going on with him. He's very, very funny, of course. He always does a great job of playing, like, those awkward kind of guys, but what I like is that he wasn't some nerd here. He actually, is just kind of this guy with no life, really, and you eventually realize why, and I have to say, once you realize what's going on with him and why this is all happening to him, his character thought got even more interesting, and he got even more amazing as an actor. He was fantastic in this movie, and I really feel as crazy as the movie got, because the movie definitely does get pretty crazy, he really did a great job at handling it in a very good way, and I was definitely very impressed by him. Kristen Stewart, I have to say, is an actress that's been impressing me a lot lately. I mean, obviously, everyone hates the Twilight films. I can't really think of anyone that does. Even people that like them now say they fucking hate them, and I can totally understand why. They're not good at all. But lately, she's really been impressing me with things like Still Alice, and I heard she did this great movie called Clouds of Still Maria, and of course, her and Jesse Eisenberg did a movie together called Adventureland, and I really was thinking she would be great here. And yeah, she is great here as Phoebe. I really liked her character, but again, there's a really great plot twist, so that I don't want to spoil for you guys, but she does a fantastic job in the movie. I loved how much she wanted to help out Mike and how much she wanted to protect him, and the chemistry between these two is just fantastic. You see how much they care for each other, and while they are stoners, you can actually take them seriously as characters, and I thought they both did a very good job. They both really knocked it out of the park, and their chemistry is really one of the things that I think worked even better for me. While I really did love Adventureland, I thought their chemistry, I think, was even stronger here. Maybe because it's just been a few years, but I really would love to see these two do another movie together, because they really do a great job, and I think they play off each other very nicely, especially Kristen Stewart, who we know, obviously isn't attracted to Jesse Eisenberg because she is a lesbian. I think they're both doing a very good job with that, and I'd love to see them do more movies together. Topher Grace was so funny in this movie. I loved his character. Adrian Yates, he was so funny, so over the top as well. You can tell that he knows this is a fun movie. He knows he's not supposed to take it that seriously, and he doesn't. He's so deadpan. Anytime when he had specific orders and his men were not doing it and he was just yelling at them, hilarious to watch. He was a great villain, and he does a great job of what a great comedic villain should be. He definitely did a very good job, and I thought he was very funny. My only problem really was Connie Britton. Connie Britton, for me, her character, when you eventually realize why her character is the way she is, it worked, but I did feel she was taking this movie a bit too seriously. Reason being because the movie, I will get into things like that, like the tone and things like that. But, I have to say, oh, also, I forgot to say with Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg, they really do bring a lot of heart to the movie, and I'll get into that, but basically, my biggest problem with Connie Britton is it just didn't feel I thought she was taking it too seriously. She doesn't really have anything funny. I didn't find her character that interesting, and when we focus on the two characters, Adrian Yates and Victoria Laster, it feels like we're watching a different movie, and it just didn't work for me, because they have a subplot involving them, and I thought she was okay. She was just a bit miscast, and I felt she could have had a little bit more fun with the movie than she did, but I felt she did do a good job for what she had. Walton Goggins is obviously great. I mean, he's always great in the movie. He has another really great plot twist as well. My only problem with his character is that he was very much like a Boyd Crowder. There really wasn't that much different with him, except till when we get into his plot twist, which everyone really has a huge plot twist in the movie, which I actually really liked. I thought it was very compelling, actually. My other thing is John Leguizamo, who I usually find very funny, I found annoying in this movie. I really didn't like his character that much. I thought he was kind of annoying, and I was very happy that he wasn't in the movie that much at all, because I just felt he was just way too over the top. I mean, Topher Grace's over the top was fine. Him being over the top, I get that he's a drug dealer, but I just felt he was way too over the top, and I really was not a fan of him. He really was the only person I had a problem with. Overall, I thought everyone was pretty good, and I thought the acting, for the most part, worked for me. The directing also I thought was pretty good. You can tell the director, he knows what this is. He knows you're not supposed to take it that seriously. However, I did feel there were a few times where there were moments where I wasn't sure if I was supposed to laugh or not. And the movie was fun, but it was actually a lot more serious than I thought it was going to be. And I thought that the tone was very well done. But this is one of those movies where there are just a few moments where you're not sure, should I laugh or should I not? I think Spy, a movie that, is also an action comedy, did a better job than this movie did, and the only reason I'm comparing them is because they're actually very similar movies. This one actually being a more serious than Spy. Spy, I think, is the more funnier one. I'll get into that when we get into the screenplay, but I think directing, for the most part, was pretty good. The writing, I thought, was also really good, but I will say, I didn't really find this movie that funny. I think there were some parts that were funny, but I was never gut-busting laughing, mainly because I think the movie is a bit more serious than I thought it was going to be, and I was completely fine with that. I really was fine that the movie was, a little bit more serious and that you weren't supposed to take it, and that you were supposed to take it seriously. I was completely fine with that. My only thing is that I just didn't really find it that funny. And also, the movie, I think, focused a little bit too much on Connie Britton and Topher Grace's characters, because they have this subplot where they're rivals, and it could have been very funny, but because of Connie Britton taking things too seriously, it just didn't really work for me, and I thought it was kind of unnecessary, and I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to find a way to connect all these characters together, but it really didn't work for me. Something I did really admire was the heart and emotion that this movie had. I was surprised by the emotion and heart. I mean, there is a lot of emotional scenes in this movie that I thought worked really well, and when I say emotion, I mean genuine emotion. Very well done. I really enjoyed it, and there are some great plot twists that kept me even more invested in the movie, and I think got more and more interesting as it went on. Yeah, there might have been a few plot holes here and there, but I thought it was just very compelling, definitely. I definitely really enjoyed that, and I thought they did a very good job with that. And also, the love story in this movie was pretty legit, I have to say. I didn't expect to really take it that seriously, but you really do, especially when you realize what's actually going on with, their characters. It works very well, and I definitely really did enjoy that. But like I said, I really wasn't laughing a lot, but I did have a lot of fun with this movie. I thought the writing, for the most part, was very good. The cinematography. This movie is a very interesting cinematography, style, definitely. It's a very distinct style. There's a stoner movie, but what's really cool is there are so many times where we actually get into Mike's head, and there's a reason eventually why we're doing this. But when he has these panic attacks, it kind of feels like you're on this acid trip with him. My only thing is they don't really utilize the stoner stuff very well. If you're expecting a stoner movie, not exactly a stoner movie. I think it is sort of a stoner movie, but definitely Pineapple Express. I've heard people compare this to it. I don't really see the comparisons. I think Pineapple Express was a lot more of a stoner movie than this was. This was definitely more of, I'd say, something like a Quentin Tarantino movie. That's definitely what this was like. I saw a lot of Quentin Tarantino in this movie, which I was fine with, but I think it was sort of false promotion, definitely. Definitely a lot of false promotion, and again, fine with that, but I just felt they could have promoted it a little bit better. The score I thought was fine. Really had no problem with the score. And I thought that was perfectly fine. Really, I didn't have a problem with the score at all. But like I said, guys, the action, something I didn't mention is that the action is actually meant to be taken seriously, and it's actually pretty thrilling. Like Spy, which is a comedy, but has action you're supposed to take seriously. This worked really well. There are some scenes I was on the edge of my seat, not knowing what was going to happen. I honestly didn't know how this movie was going to end, and I was very impressed by that. I didn't know how it was going to end, and I really enjoyed that, and I thought they did a really great job with that, and I got really into it towards the end of the movie, and I was definitely really enjoyed that. The editing, however, I did feel was a bit too short. The movie I felt could have been a bit longer, at least 10 minutes longer, at least. Not too long, but at least 10 minutes longer, just because some of the reveals that we do get I felt were a bit rushed, and I really do want to get into spoilers, because this is a movie where you actually really do have to talk spoilers, because I think it's most interesting. That's why this says American Ultra Movie Review and major spoilers, because there actually are major spoilers to this movie. And if you guys haven't seen American Ultra, don't watch the rest of this review. I'm going to spoil, I think the best things about the movie. And if you guys really want to experience this movie, check it out. But I will say the ending to this movie is so awesome, and it's so audacious, and I think it's so divisive, and I really love the way they end it. But let me get to the spoilers, because there's a lot to talk about. So, the first thing I was really impressed by, of course, is when we find out that Phoebe was actually Mike's handler, who was meant to protect him, but she ended up falling in love with him, and that's why she never told him about him. He actually had his memory erased by, of course, Lassiter, and he didn't know about any of this. I thought this was very well handled, and I thought they handled these plot twists very well done, and I definitely really like that. I did feel the Lassiter one was a bit shoehorned in there, but I thought they handled it very well, because it made sense on why she was so serious and why she wanted to protect him so much. Because, of course, she wiped his brain, and she wanted him to forget, and she wanted him to remember everything, and I thought they handled that very well, and I definitely really liked that. And once we found out all those plot twists of how he's this this ex-CIA agent, and how they took him away to be safe and everything, I thought it worked really well, and I really care about Mike's character more. The twist with Walton Goggins' character, I didn't really think worked as well as it could have, because it was way too late into the movie. It didn't really work for me, and I didn't think it was that interesting. Mainly because I wasn't that into, as I said, Topher Grace and Connie Britton's subplot that they were doing, with him making that company. I just didn't find it that interesting. But I thought the other plot twists were very well done, and I definitely really enjoyed the way that was done. The emotion, the scene where Mike realizes that Phoebe, all this time, wasn't actually his girlfriend, and that she just fell in love with him, and that's why she stuck by him, was very well handled. I thought Jesse Eisenberg played that very well, and I was very impressed by how serious the movie got toward the end, and I actually really enjoyed that. Some people have said that the movie got too serious, but I thought it needed to be serious, and I thought the way they handled that was very well done, and I definitely really enjoyed that. But overall, guys, that's in my review of American Ultra. It's a very fun movie. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. Just know that it's not as funny as you think it's going to be. It definitely, I think, is more of an action movie than is a comedy. Like I said, Spy is definitely more of an action comedy. This, I think, is more of an action spy. honestly might be an action thriller, honestly, because there is comedy in there, but it's not as consistent as you think it's going to be. But I still really did love American Ultra for the most part. I definitely would check it out again, despite those few problems that I have with it. It is a very fun movie, and I'm going to give it a 3.9 out of 5 or a B plus. It's a very fun movie. It's a movie that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. Just go into it knowing it's not going to be what the trailer said it is, and I think you will have a very good time with it. But overall, guys, this is my review of American Ultra. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this movie. You have seen it. I really enjoyed it. I didn't really know how I was going to feel about it, but I was happy that I came out really enjoying it. I really do want to check it out again. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Fear the Walking Dead, which, yes, it is back, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.